Okay, good morning, grade 10. We're focusing on a simple one today, visual literacy. And we focus specifically on cartoons. We know the multiple literacies, but the focus today is just on visual literacy, and we'll focus on cartoons. Um, so we'll just start by drawing from your prior knowledge, because obviously coming into this lesson, there's something that you already know about cartoons. So we'll draw from that and then try to explain extensively, sorry. And then try to work with different cartoons and analyze them, and then uh, also allow you an opportunity to try and analyze. Then we'll be, that will be that about it. So yes, from just understanding what visual literacy and cartoons are, to understanding the meta language with which we'll be able to analyze cartoons. And then once we're equipped with that, we'll be then going to analyzing cartoons. And that would also allow us to understand that there are indeed multiple literacies. Now, what are cartoons? I want you to think about this, because expression is important, because sometimes people know what something is, and then they fail to express what they know this thing to be. So, like, clearly, most of you, actually, all of you know what cartoons are, but some of you may find it difficult to express what cartoons are. And this is the starting point in learning, in actually, especially in language. You have to be able to express, you have to be expressive. So that's why I'm challenging you to think about the meaning of what cartoons are. Think about your favorite cartoon, because obviously at some point in your life, if you still don't have, you had your favorite cartoon. Then now we said these cartoons fall under visual literacy. What is this visual literacy that we speak about? Now, a cartoon is just a simple drawing. This drawing um, has an element of humor in it and some satire. So it is showing features of its subject in a humorous, exaggerated way. Um, emphasize humorous, exaggerated way, especially a satirical one, and it's mostly in newspapers and magazines. That's what a cartoon is. And it falls under visual literacy, which is the ability to interpret, negotiate, and make meaning from information presented in the form of an image, extending the meaning of literacy, which commonly signifies interpretation of a written or printed text. Normally, people would limit literacy to written text, but now that we tap into visual literacy, it is brought to our attention that literacy is not just limited to written text, but visuals can be part of literacy. In this way, when we are able to interpret, interact, and negotiate with these visuals, that is called visual literacy, because we are able to devise meaning and understand um, the purpose of these images being produced. So that's what visual literacy is. So we are going to, we have to achieve that by the end of this lesson. We are supposed to be able to negotiate and make meaning with different cartoons, which form part of visual text. I hope you catching my drift. So just why the need for us to understand visual literacy? Why the need? Now, cartoons are created for the purpose of conveying message. Now, obviously, any text, visual or written, is created with the purpose of conveying message. Now, with cartoons, it's either there's a message, comes at home obvious, or it's just for the purpose of humor or comedy. But there's always a purpose of creating a cartoon. So now, how do you then go about understanding this message that is being conveyed to us? We have to try and interpret and interact with the visual so as to be able to now understand what is being communicated to us. I appreciate the contribution from Lionheart. Yes, you are indeed correct. Thank you for your contribution. Yes. Now, then once we are able to interact and work with different visual text, then we would have achieved our goal. So, what is going to assist us in analyzing? We have these tools, which we have to understand the difference first between cartoons and a cartoon strip. We have to also understand um, how does a thought bubble appear and how to actually identify a speech bubble. Then we know the significance of a setting in analyzing a cartoon strip. And then how do we see action and how does it contribute to what is being conveyed to the audience? And then the words also, because you can't neglect the words. As much as this is visual, the words are also important because they add to the process of meaning making. Now, the difference between cartoon and a cartoon strip. Now, normally, people would not really separate the two. But they are not really far from each other, but they're not the same thing. A cartoon is just a single frame. But now when we have a multiple or series of frames, that is a cartoon strip, just like we normally see with the famous Madam and Eve, that different frames, which means those are cartoon strips. Now, a thought bubble and a speech bubble, how do you recognize those? Now, a thought bubble would obviously appear more like a cloud. Then that allows you, that's more of a window through which we can see or we are allowed to the character's thinking process or thoughts. That's how we see a thought bubble. Then a speech bubble is just plain, simple, and it's more defined, and it contains a dialogue. It's between, if there's more than one character, there's a dialogue, even if it's just one character, but it is just defined, more defined and more plain. Where is the cartoon's action taking place? That's the setting. Now, where is this taking place? How do we know? Remember, this is visual. There are visual clues that are given. For instance, if we see the telecom towers, we know where we are in Johannesburg. You know, if there's the Table Mountain, in the background, we know we are in Cape Town, things like that. So there are clues that tells you where is this action taking place and what does that contribute? What is the significance then? What is the significance of the setting? Now, obviously, the setting allows you to understand the context. Because when you understand the context, it's easier to understand the cartoon better. Because, for instance, if the setting is Parliament, so it's easier for us to understand because we know what goes on in Parliament and what to expect, what not to expect. So it allows us to understand better. And also, the setting, sometimes even when there are no visual clues, the characters themselves can give us clues by mentioning the setting directly or indirectly. Then caricature, those are the characters now. Now, a caricature is the way in which a character is depicted. Now, a picture of description of someone that exaggerates particular characteristics to make them appear funny or silly. Now, caricature is very common with cartoon strips. Now, they make the character to appear more funny by exaggerating certain features in their body to add more to the humor. Then the facial expressions. Now, also the eyes, if they're raised, if they're wide open, the mouth, the eyebrows, that contributes. Raised eyebrows can maybe signify shock and so forth, and so on and so forth. So it's important to also pay attention to the body or the facial expression and the body language. Now, the action. How do we see action? There are action lines. These are the lines or stripes that represents the movement of the character. Now, how do you see that this person is moving? Because cartoons are just a still picture. It is a still picture. How do you then know that this person is moving? How do you know? There are lines that show action, and these represents the movement of the character and sometimes the object in that particular frame, because it can be a car or any other moving object or an animal also. So also the sounds that illustrate noises. For instance, woof woof will be a barking dog. Bang bang most of the time is used for a gunshot. So those sounds are important. They are important in adding meaning also, because we understand what's going on through those sounds. And it's more interesting, instead of writing gunshot, when you write bang bang bang, then that it adds more. It actually attracts more interest from the reader or whoever is the audience. Then the words, we can't really ignore the words because they are equally important in the cartoon strip. So we need to pay close attention to what is being said by the characters. More importantly, how is it being said? Because in cartoons, things are said in a more funny way. So you look at that. sarcastic way or otherwise. Here is an example now. Let's work with this example. I'll just go through it. It's just only 4 frames. Now, if you look at what just already attracts your attention would be the bold words, whap, whap, whap. Now, they are bold. That shows that this is loud already. But now, if the words are just alone there, you wouldn't really understand what's going on. But now, because there's more to the picture or to the frame than just the words, now we understand. Because there's this boy, sorry about that. There's this boy who's holding a hammer up high, hitting on the nails on the table. So we now know that is the sound of the hammer on the nails. Whap, whap, whap. So the boy is smiling. Remember, we said pay attention to the facial expression. The boy is smiling. That tells you that he is enjoying what he is doing. How do we know? Because of the smile. He's happy. Now look at the second frame. Also, the words are in bold. Kevin, what are you doing to the coffee table? Now there's question mark exclamation that show that this person is shouting. To add on that, the words are in bold. Now, another thing that you need to notice about the speech, it is in jagged speech bubbles, which means this person is shouting. It has, there are many clues that tells you that this person is shouting or they are actually angry, you know. Then look at the facial expression. Now the eyes are wide open and the mouth is wide open. This woman is hysterical. Those are the clues just there. You just interpret what you see based on the evidence on the frame. If you move on to the next one. Now remember, everything that is in the frame signifies something. There's nothing that is just there for decoration. Like if you look at there, there's an asterisk. It indicates confusion or a thought process. Now, this boy is confused. He doesn't understand why this woman is shouting or his mother is shouting. He is confused. Also, what shows us that is the blank expression. The blank expression that this person is emphasized, that this boy has, just emphasize the confusion that we are talking about. He's confused. He doesn't understand because to him it's just a fun game that he's been playing. But the woman now, his mother, is shouting. He doesn't understand. Then he asked a question. Is this some sort of a trick question or what? He really doesn't understand. And the woman is in despair. He is holding her hands on her head. As you can see. And I can see that you are all catching my drift. I appreciate your contribution and they are correct. Now, here's another one. I'll just give you a few minutes to try and understand it on your own. Then we will continue in just bit. We're not stopping. Let me not say we continue. Just try to understand it on your own, then we take it from there. Okay, I hope you've really gotten an overview of this. So let's just go through it. Are you going to the department meeting? She asks. Yes, as soon as I plan my routine. I have 7 co-workers who I need to avoid on the way. 3 are non-stop talkers. The other 4 ask me for something every time I see them. I've mapped their likely locations and I'm working out an avoidance path. Yes, I think I can do it. Is that my name on your list of employees to avoid? I didn't say it was a perfect system. Okay, explain what the use of the personal pronoun I throughout the cartoon suggests about Dilbert. Um, it's a simple one. Now, Dilbert is on a mission of avoiding these people. So the I signifies how much he wants to be alone. He keeps on saying I. How much he means business about this being alone, because no one is included outside him. So he is the only person he's considering at the moment. So it shows how serious he is about this plan of his. Now, explain. Okay, we are going to refer to the fifth frame. Now, discuss the effectiveness of the technique used by the cartoonist in this frame. Now, no one is appearing there. It shows how determined he is to actually avoid people. Now, this plan seems to be working because he's alone and he is no one is appearing on the picture and he's locked himself on some cage, which means he is now avoiding these people. Now, the cartoonist provides the structure of the building without characters to emphasize, oh, sorry, to emphasize the effort Gilbert has placed in the strategy to avoid his colleagues. Now, here's what you need to remember. Now, an analysis of the question. Now, how do you analyze this question? You discuss. How do you discuss? You present all ideas of the argument in the frame. Now you look at the effectiveness. Does it achieve the purpose? That's what you look at. This will allow you to give sincere attempt at answering questions. Then the technique, how has the cartoon been drawn? You look at that. You consider or think about the characterization, caricature or stereotype, then the setting, punctuation, and so forth, on and so forth. Now, I'd like to leave you with this one. This one would be just your homework. Do this on your own to try and see if you've understood what we've been talking about. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, my email address will show just soon after this. Any questions, anything that you want to contribute, feel free to contact me. I'll be available to attend to that. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the next class. This is my email address, siabonga310@gmail.com. Feel free to contact me if the need arises. Thank you very much.